How do I make my dad realize his new wife isn't my mom and stop pushing for a relationship? When I was 14, I lost my mom, someone I was incredibly close to. Her absence was deeply felt, and I still carried that longing every day. Struggling to cope, I found it especially tough considering how swiftly my dad moved on. Barely a month and a half later, he was openly involved with his current wife, which made me suspect infidelity during my mom's time. Within 4 months of my mom's passing, his new partner moved in. What hit me hardest was when, on my birthday, 9 months after my mom's death, they announced their engagement as one of my gifts. It didn't sit well with me. I reacted by causing a scene, disposing of the cake they had given me, and walking out. I disappeared for a few days until they were on the brink of filing a missing persons runaway report, which compelled me to return. They attempted to erase every trace of my mom, photos, belongings, memories, but I salvaged what I could and discreetly stored some items away. They forbid me from commemorating her birthday or acknowledging anything related to my mom. Additionally, they pressured me to address my dad's new wife as mom, a title I never accepted. Whenever I called her by her name, they deliberately disregarded me, insisting on her being my mom. I persistently corrected her introductions. Consequently, communication became minimal, limited to necessary exchanges or corrections, expressed mostly through one-word responses. My refusal to address my dad's wife as mom, use her name, or introduce her as my father's spouse always triggered my dad's anger. At 16, I went silent for 2 weeks because, in their eyes, I disrupted their family harmony. Their stance was clear. Until I could seamlessly fit into the family, communication was futile. Around the 15th day of no interaction, they relented. By the time I turned 18 and headed to university, I significantly reduced contact and never really returned home. At 21, when I got engaged to my fiancé who understands and supports my stance on my dad and his wife, all hell broke loose when they discovered I was seeing someone. Their reaction was intense. My dad's wife even posted on social media, claiming excitement about her son getting married and eagerly anticipating grandparenthood. I had to make it unequivocal. I posted a brief message clarifying that I was never her son and that she wouldn't be a grandmother to any future children of mine. My dad accused me of disrespecting my mother and causing embarrassment. Confused, I asked which mother we were discussing because the only mother I ever knew or lost was the one who gave me life when I was 14. That day, I lost both of my parents. 3 years have passed, and we've maintained minimal to no contact. However, my wife is now 8 months pregnant, and unexpectedly, my dad and his wife appeared at my doorstep even though I never shared my address. They were eager to talk and meet my wife, but I stood firm, refusing entry and instructing them to turn around and leave. Astonishingly, they've decided to uproot themselves and move to my city, aiming to mend our relationship. Claiming she missed her son and desired to be a better mom and grandmother, my dad's wife sought reconciliation. I labeled their actions as delusional, demanded they depart, and slammed the door shut. They ended up buying a house just 5 minutes away from ours. This overwhelming situation has left me drained. My therapist suggests I open the door to them, but I'm inclined to sever all ties. What's most distressing is their persistent effort to replace my mom and erase her existence. Frankly, I'm in the dark about my dad's wife, and I'm even uncertain about who my dad has become. My wife is struggling to support me emotionally and feels at a loss. I turn to the internet for advice. How can I convey to my dad and his wife that she will never be my mom? My therapist recommended expressing my true feelings in a non-confrontational yet direct manner, seeking understanding about my dad and his wife and delving into their perspectives on the situation. However, I'm considering finding a different therapist who might better align with my needs. An update and some clarification. My wife, our unborn child, and I are doing relatively well, though my wife is understandably tired of being pregnant. We're anticipating the arrival of our child in the upcoming weeks. I've made a switch to a new therapist. When I attempted to cancel future appointments with the previous therapist, it didn't go smoothly, prompting me to file a complaint. Fortunately, I found my new therapist more attuned to my needs. I feel heard and supported, finally getting the assistance I've been seeking. Let me emphasize, I'm currently 24, while my dad's wife is 38, a 14-year age gap between us. When she entered my life, I was 14, and she was 28. Additionally, there were speculations regarding my dad's involvement in my mom's passing. However, I want to clarify that there's no truth to those theories, although I still suspect they might have been involved before my mom's passing. Security measures are a priority, and I'm in the process of investing in a comprehensive system. While waiting for its installation, we've set up a temporary doorbell camera and some less expensive cameras as a precautionary step. Social media has become restricted after the incident involving my dad's wife's post about grandparenthood, excitement, and our engagement. My wife and I have essentially withdrawn from all platforms, using them solely for private messaging or photo sharing. We've managed to identify the leak in our confidentiality. It's my brother-in-law, my wife's sister's husband. During a family dinner that was meant for discussing the birthing plan, he insisted on being present, which struck us as odd since he wasn't initially involved. While waiting for my mother-in-law to join us, I opened up about the situation between my dad and its impact on my wife and me. At this point, my brother-in-law visibly became uncomfortable. When confronted, he denied any discomfort, but it was evident. My sister-in-law confronted him, and he eventually broke down, confessing that he'd been in contact with my dad and his wife because we need all the family support we can get and they should know their grandbaby. This sparked a heated argument that culminated in my sister-in-law moving out and seeking refuge with us. Given their own relationship struggles and lack of children, I fear it might be the end for them. I can't trust him anymore. We've since solidified and secured our birthing plan, ensuring it's only among those we trust crafted the day after, without involving my brother-in-law. Additionally, we've made contingency plans just in case of unexpected visits. Everyone who needs to be aware of the plan and its details is now informed. Obtaining a protection order has proven surprisingly challenging. In my region, it heavily hinges on instances of violence or physical contact. Technically, what my dad and his wife have done doesn't breach the law as of yet. They're not perceived as an immediate threat since there were no explicit threats made, and they complied and left when requested. Legally, they're within their rights to move wherever they wish. Moreover, the fact that a family member shared my address with another family member makes it permissible. Regarding grandparents' rights, they only come into play if my wife and I lose custody or are deemed incapable of caring for our child. However, my mother-in-law and father-in-law are prepared to step into that role if necessary. Unfortunately, my wife and I aren't in a position to relocate. We recently purchased our home when interest rates were favorable, and my in-laws assisted with the down payment. While not extravagant, it's our cherished starter family abode. My dad and his wife are incapable, or shouldn't be, of having kids. I'm uncertain which side, either my dad or his wife, makes it impossible. This could explain the relentless pressure they exert, perhaps stemming from their inability to have children. I composed a comprehensive letter to my dad outlining the reasons for my choice of no contact. It detailed my emotions regarding their actions and emphasized that his wife is not, and will never be, my mom. If I contemplate granting them an opportunity, it's strictly on my terms, clarifying that my family comprises myself, my wife, and any potential future children. I explicitly stated that they are not permitted to engage in direct communication with us unless through our legal representation, allowing my dad to decide what information to relay. We made it clear that they are unwelcome in any aspect of our lives, whether at home, school, daycare, social events, birthdays, Christmas, or gatherings, and even in public, we're to be treated as strangers. Any violation of these terms will result in a follow-up letter, potentially escalating to a protection order. The letter was extensive, reviewed by our lawyer, and signed by my wife, me, and notarized. Then, my dad signed it, and we secured legal copies for our records. Our lawyer utilized a private delivery service to hand-deliver the letter to my dad, obtaining a signature as proof of receipt, accompanied by video evidence. So far, things have proceeded smoothly on that front. At present, my focus lies on supporting my wife and preparing for the imminent arrival of our child. While I might not know how to be a father, I'm committed to learning. I'm grateful for everyone's guidance and support during this challenging time. In the weeks before my wife gave birth, tensions were high, and I experienced my first panic attack, an unpleasant ordeal thankfully helped by my wife. Meanwhile, my brother-in-law attempted to apologize and reconcile with my sister-in-law but ruined it by insisting he was right in reconnecting my parents and our family. Consequently, their divorce proceedings hastened, Witnessing the birth of my child was an incredible moment for me. Holding that tiny life for the first time filled me with an overwhelming love that I hadn't expected to feel so quickly. Both my baby and wife are doing remarkably well, but my wife, despite this, has started feeling self-conscious, expressing herself humorously by referring to feeling like a cow. However, I'm unsure how to help her stop, especially when she randomly moos at me. Unexpectedly, my dad and his wife attempted to show up at the hospital. It remains a mystery how they located us, but the hospital staff swiftly intervened, shielding us from their intrusion. Surprisingly, as some of you predicted, we've encountered them randomly in town, particularly at grocery and shopping stores, even when I went out of my way to avoid such encounters. While law enforcement doesn't perceive them as posing a direct threat or engaging in unlawful behavior, their persistent presence has compelled us to either ignore them, stay home, or ask a family member to handle errands on our behalf. My therapist has been working hard these past few months, truly earning their paycheck. Meanwhile, our lawyer is doing their utmost, but it feels like the laws are stacked against us. It's frustrating how the legal system often seems to operate on the principle of innocent until proven guilty, or rather, nothing is deemed dangerous until it's too late, leaving us in a perpetual state of waiting for something to go wrong before action can be taken. It's incredibly frustrating. We made a move, and honestly, I never want to go through that again. Thankfully, supportive family made it manageable, but with the newborn and the unsettling presence of certain individuals, it was undeniably stressful. It might seem unbelievable, but my in-laws have been incredible and connected us with their friends. Long story short, these friends were looking to downsize since their children had moved out. After discussions with my in-laws, we struck a great deal. Our new home boasts more space and land but requires significant renovations. Still baby-friendly. Although it's old and outdated, we're slowly making it our own. We're not affluent by any means, but we have a strong support network. I've taken on about 99% of the renovations myself, with some assistance from my sister-in-law, who moved in temporarily to help us achieve this dream. Since the move, we haven't crossed paths with my dad or his wife. Until about 2 weeks ago, things remained quiet. However, my lawyer reached out, informing me that my dad wished to talk. Initially hesitant, I tried to decline, but they urged, "I believe it's in your best interest." Eventually, we arranged a meeting in a public setting. 3 days later, at a local coffee shop, we met. Despite arriving early, they were already there. Just my wife and I were present along with an undercover paralegal from my lawyer's office. I sensed disappointment in their eyes due to the absence of our child. The encounter began awkwardly, with some banal small talk initiated by them. Eventually, I cut to the chase, asking bluntly, "What do you want?" Then, my dad revealed his deteriorating health, showing scans, doctor's notes, and tests, indicating he might have around 2 years left at most. Throughout their explanation, I remained silent, feeling detached, almost as if I received news about someone I vaguely knew from childhood becoming ill or passing away, devoid of any genuine emotions or connections. My wife recognized my irritation and attempted to quietly calm me. When they finished, I expressed a perfunctory, "I'm sorry this happened to you. I hope you get better," before standing up to leave. But before I could exit, my dad's wife interjected, demanding more from me. I cut her off and unleashed everything that had been simmering in my mind for years, an unrestrained monologue I had crafted since my teenage years. During our conversation, I addressed various issues, emphasizing how my dad owed me more than words could express. I detailed how he shattered any semblance of a relationship the moment he let his impulses guide him. I didn't hold back, outlining instances of erasing my only real mother from our lives, alongside instances of neglect, abuse, and excessive punishment. The climax was reminding him that my true mother passed away when I was 14, and at that moment, he became dead to me too. Reflecting on the situation now, I find it almost amusing that my 5'4" wife was the one physically holding back a 6'3", 200+ pound man. They resembled fish, mouths agape, in shock. My wife swiftly guided me away from the situation. However, once we were in the car, I experienced my second panic attack. Despite the quietness that followed, the encounter still feels raw. I'm struggling but actively working through it. Whenever my wife notices me zoning out, she hands me our child, and things start to feel better. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.